Hello, Terry.
You right, mate?
Yeah, I don't know what happened there, mate. Start again anyway. How are you doing, Terry? Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm all right. Like, mate, keep the last bit in and use that as the intro because that was fun.
Yeah. Well, I'll have to do this as a part two and then other part three then, yeah? All right.
I know what.
So getting back to what we were on about there with the Cobra, I think it's the Jake Paul uh, age groups, 12 to 14, is it? It says online the main age group where they get like millions watching, don't they?
Yeah, he's got a very young demographic, and for those guys, like Froch isn't relevant. Like, and it's not like he hasn't fought an next fighter. He fought Cesar Chavez Jr. So he's fought the guy that Froch was going to fight in his last fight anyway. Do you know what I mean? So Carl, Carl's on the outside looking in.
Yeah.
Carl's looking for an easy payday. I don't think the Jake Paul fight's an easy payday for Carl. To be honest, I think Carl he may think he's still got it, but I think Carl will take a horrible beating in that fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. People don't realize you can do all the hitting of the bag you want, you can do all the pad work you want, and you can look good. You can't take the shots anymore.
Yeah.
Jake Paul can. He won't. He won't take. We, we both know what we could do when we were younger, right?
No,
And
yeah.
we know what we can do now.
Not a lot.
Yeah. Carl's no different. He can't take the shots he could take 10 years ago.
Hmm. What about his no beak?
Ah, I heard you paid for that.
That's a long story.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, Carl. If I get your nose done for you, Carl, you come on my channel. All right, Paul. Okay.
then if I have a fight, you can be in my corner and all that. Well, you know what? The promises that people come out with in boxing, it's just lip service that people.
mate, you'd have been poorly to his Rocky.
Oh God, mate, unbelievable. But he's got them all. I seen this. Somebody sent me his video over there. He's proper. He's really gone after Eddie and Joshua, hasn't he? But I suppose they really need it, don't they? When Eddie's running around saying Joshua's baddest man on planet after Ngannou fight, God, it's a bit shocking, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's not Carl's job to do that because for a long time he was on the payroll. So, you know, you don't like coppers. I don't like turncoats. You can't suddenly go from gamekeeper to poacher. Frost can never be one of us.
Well, he can't now, can he? After saying what he said on his channel, then getting the access and then asking, "What's your favourite tattoo?"
But I said this from the beginning. You didn't want to see it, Paul. You just didn't want to see it, mate.
I couldn't
I'll try
see
to
it
show
for
you.
that. Blinkers on
Nah,
top.
yeah, mate. You had them hearts in your eyes. And anytime he came on, he came on your screen.
What my mum used to say, Russell, sometimes it's better to keep the poster on the wall.
True. Never meet your heroes.
Yeah. So Gareth A. Davis, he's come out saying Jake Paul beats me because he's active and this and that and blah blah blah. But he's going to say that because he wants access to Jake Paul, doesn't he? We're
There's a
thinking
lot.
about the
He's
Carl
right
Fletcher.
though.
Yeah, we're thinking about the Carl Fletcher 10 years ago. Like everybody kept putting pictures up of Mike Tyson knocking Tony Tubbs about and Trevor Burbick and that. But that was in the late 80s, wasn't it? Mid to late 80s. It's we're mid 20s now. It's it'd be like Ali fighting in year 2000, wouldn't it? Something like that.
Yes, these guys can't. I'm telling you, they can't do it. Yeah, I've jumped in the ring with small boys. Can't do it.
But he'd get paid for it though, wouldn't he? And that would be all Carl would be bothered about because I think really he just wants to top his pension up.
He gets splattered. He wouldn't even. He'd get he'd get put on a poster, mate. He just wouldn't look
I
good.
hope not, but Jake Paul, he's not that bad. He's like, what do you say, area level, Terry?
Um, yeah,
Would an
yeah.
area
I think
level
he's been
super
at it long enough
middleweight
now.
beat the Colt? Well, Callum Simpson's not area level, but would Callum Simpson of 2 years ago beat the Cobra?
Yeah,
Because Cobra's been inactive. And what does Mickey say? Rocky says, become civilized.
Carl. Carl's got nothing to fight for. Do you see what I mean?
Like, he don't need the money. He went out at Wembley, putting Groves on bottom moon in front of 80,000. I've not heard that one before. And he got the chick. He's got the dough. He's got the motor. He's got a YouTube channel that's smashing it. What's the problem? What's going on?
It's never enough.
Why would you want to upset Eddie? That if Eddie put millions in his pocket, and vice versa, they were good for each other, a bit like Coogan and Eddie. So I don't see Coogan upsetting Eddie. And I don't know, all roads lead to Eddie Hearn and Bricktop in this country, and he's rubbed them both up the wrong way. The only game left in town for Carl now is Turkey and Dana White. And if rubs them up the wrong way, well, it's back to being a YouTuber, isn't it? A camera jockey.
Mate, it's why you got the knee pads out when you went over to Saudi.
I'll tell you keep putting that one out and lipstick on and painting his nails red.
Listen, mate, I know he's your hero, but we've got to say it how it is on this channel, right?
We all have heroes in our life. Clinton Woods is my hero as well, but he's a totally different personality, you know.
He's done boxing the right way. He got in, he got out, never needed to come back.
He's got his gym. He's still got his mates. He goes around Sheffield. He goes sit in Brazimas or Maggie Mays. He drink Budweiser with his pals he'd grown up with, and then got chippy. And he had a belt of a 3 year and a world title. Then he won everything in British Commonwealth.
Yeah, I think. I think he's like, if someone said to me, "What's a good career to aim for?" The boxer, Clinton Woods' career is a good one to aim for.
Yeah, he got his American night against the pound for pound best in the world, didn't he? At the time, Roy Jones were like Superman, and if you sit with Clinton, he'll say, "Only fight I've ever had," and I was like, "God, I might be debt for you." You know what I mean? So I've tipped my hat to him, and him and Dennis were a good double act, weren't they?
Yeah, Dennis is the second best double act.
Oh, it's first one. Okay, Elmer Fudd's on Sky Sports doing interviews talking about what next. But let me just say this: what next? He's a journeyman, former college rugby player, and he's getting all this PR. He wouldn't normally get all that, would he? What level is that? It's getting a bit daft now, isn't it? You think?
There's too much money invested. That's when you know that there's money invested, when they have to recycle him. Because normally, if you lose like that on a matchroom show, you don't come back.
Mm-hmm.
Look at kids like Yusuf Kamari. They don't come back. Reece Bellotti waited years to get back. Loads of matchroom guys had to wait for matchroom to decline before they were allowed back on when they lost. But they got so much money wound up in Eddie Hearn that Eddie's like, no. You better put that 2-2 on and start dancing around the pole.
What do you think they're going to do with him, Terry? Now prop up 3 or 4 shows and try and sell him to us again, like they did Anthony Joshua after the Ruiz loss?
I think they're going to put him in the mix with all those other heavyweights that are flattering to deceive right now. Your Solly Dakers, etc., etc. You see that group of heavyweights, right? They're going to put him in the mix with those guys and see if he can sing.
Yeah, go on. Do you rate him though? Do you think there is?
That's what they'll do. They'll just when you're as big as he is, there's always a chance you can do something. Is he in the right place to do something? I don't know.
Yeah, I just think that he comes across as like a cyborg, like a robot, like he's programmed. Very, very, very well media trained. Johnny Fisher, aka Big Elmer. That's how it appears to me. Everything looks forced.
We've got an echo in here.
Sorry, mate. Everything looks forced, doesn't it? I've got that mobile painter, and I wonder if that's why Wi-Fi went off, because if I blame plug extension in garage, to put wing up.
Yeah. Well, look, here's what I'll say. I'm not into all of this kind of Project Fighter talk. I don't think it works. I said the same about Adrian King as I'm going to say about Johnny Fisher. they need time to take what they're learning and make it their own.
Yeah.
You can't do that on live TV. You're in survival mode. Once you go on TV in front of a crowd like that, you're in survival mode. You haven't got time to figure out actually how do you want to throw the jab, not how your coaches taught you to throw it. How do you want to throw the jab to make the most of your physical gifts? Johnny Fisher doesn't understand most of that stuff yet. So him and Adrian King, same kind of bracket where they didn't really have a long amateur career. And you can see that the stuff they do that's technically correct, but in the context of a fight is 100% wrong.
Yeah.
Because they haven't figured out how to do it themselves. And until Johnny Fisher figures out how to box for himself, it's going to be very hard for him.
Do you think that Johnny Fisher against Adrian King's a good fight?
No, I think that's a bad fight. I saw Adrian box over the weekend. That version that I saw wouldn't handle Johnny Fisher.
He wouldn't.
Not because he's not big enough or strong enough, but he hasn't got the experience to nullify Johnny Fisher. So it would just be a shootout.
Do you think, Terry, that it's well, when you're doing sprint times and lifting this and doing that in gym and all that, do you think that means nothing when you get in ring if you haven't got ring smarts?
Well, unless you plan on sprinting in the ring, no, it means absolutely nothing.
Yeah. I'm gutted for Curtis, like he were on a bit of a downer all weekend. It's that first loss hurts, doesn't it?
So I don't think Curtis did anything wrong. He's a coach who taught his kid how to do stuff.
Yeah.
He probably just rushed it. That's my opinion. I feel he rushed it. You know when you see kids come out of the amateurs, Russ?
Yeah.
A lot of times people don't realize how many mistakes those kids have made in the last 4 years before they turned over. Adrian's going to make all of his mistakes on TV.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Curtis thought that bit through. And I'm just being honest because I like Curtis. So I feel I can talk honestly. I don't think Curtis thought, what if Adrian loses inside of his first 5 fights? Then what? Because you can't go back to the amateurs. It's too late. And then you got to sit around in the pros while he gets experience. And you're not going to make a lot of money off of him while he's doing the fights against Chris Healy, Phil Williams, etc. You're not going to make much money.
Yeah.
So what do you do?
Could dig Max up.
You could. But it's going to be hard for him as well if Max shows up ready to go.
Well, Max is 4-1, and I think Adrian's similar in his record, a bit like. But Max is looking at George Fox, although he's sunburnt at the moment, and he says that fight might have to be put on hold now. How would you see Max against George Fox going?
George, too big, man. He's too big. Yeah. Too big, too long, too mobile. And this is why experience is important, Russ. You have to know how to look at someone, understand what they're going to try and do, and take all of that away from them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And you got to be able to do that in real time.
Okay. Somebody's asked me what do you think about Fight Disciples and Adrian Alapidi, and I can't pronounce his name, and that Nick Pete. Paul Smith started to come into mainstream media now, and he's got a bit of a gig going at talks. But people are saying that these are the real voices of the hardcores now, and they're telling it straight. But I'm not so sure when I see them in the company of the big two dogs, Bricktop and Eddie Hill. What do you think, Terry?
They're not, man. These guys, here's what they are. They're like the Tommy Robinson of boxing media, where they want the energy of the hardcores, right? They want the hardcores to back them, but they don't really deliver for the hardcores.
Carry on.
That's what I'd say, mate. So all of those guys, they love the energy of the hardcores because they want to feel that they still belong, but they don't deliver. Do you know what I mean? They don't deliver. All these Adam Cattralls, just headbangers. Nick Pete. I don't really know Nick Pete like that. I don't listen to him. But Addy, headbanger. They're all headbangers. Like, oh, hardcores, listen to this. And then when Eddie says, listen, I need you here now. Get your shoes shined. Do you know what I mean? Yes, sir. Nah, you can't be in both camps.
Well, I noticed that about Fight Disciples because actually I've met Tom Aspinall quite a few times. He's a lovely kid, but every time I see Fight Disciples over at where Tom Aspinall trains, I'm not sure if they're going to give him, a reach around. I don't know what's
Yeah.
going on there. If they're like his in-house PR and Tom's the type of kid that won't ask anybody to put them out there and big them up or anything like that because he's not that way inclined. So, but I tend to think that, and I'm not saying that these lads are like that either, but I just think that, in my opinion, that too many YouTubers, I'm not saying any names, tend to go out on a limb to kind of be the PR guys for these boxers and UFC guys and promoters. And I think that the promoters and the boxers and the UFC guys, they're not asking them to do it. I think they're just doing it to curry favor and access. That's what I think, because I see it all the time. In-house media. That's what I'm seeing.
Look, if you know someone and you want to sort of shine light and say, look, listen, here's a guy that I know well. I can tell you he's the real deal. I don't mind that. But if you don't know someone and you're just, you know what I mean, just glazing them, then I'm like, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah, it's sad. Eubank Benn too. Now, Eddie said that Benn were going to the Barrios Manny Pacquiao fight and he's got the winner. But I thought, he's not going to drop down to 147. And all of a sudden, within 72 hours, the Eubank Benn 2 fights all signed, sealed, and delivered. Do you think that was just Eddie trying to rush Eubank and Ben Shalom into a deal? Because Eddie's come out now and he's slagging Ben Shalom off again, and he seems to dig him out a lot, doesn't he?
I tell you what they don't like about Benn, right? Benn's an awkward guy to negotiate with, from what I hear.
Yeah.
And here's the thing with Benn. Benn's not stupid when it comes to contracts. So Benn will read every line of a contract and go, we don't like that, we don't like that, we don't like that. Eddie's not used to dealing with someone that can read a contract and push back on it.
Yeah.
None of them are. That's why they moan about Benn. I mean, it's designed to do that. But what Benn's doing, and I get it, he's doing what's best for his business and he's doing what's best for his fighters. So I have no issue with that. As for the fight, I don't want to see it. And whoever does want to see it, don't talk to me. Because the first fight, we had to kind of suspend belief and go, okay, a welterweight, going to fight a middleweight. Yeah, whatever. Oh, he didn't fight for a welterweight for a long time. Whatever. Basically, a small guy's going to fight a big guy because their dads had problems back in the day. We all kind of bought into that. If you do that twice, then you're stupid. But, boxing's full of a lot of stupid people. So I get it.
How do you see that fight going, Terry?
I don't care.
You don't care?
I don't care. I genuinely don't. They could both go home in an ambulance. I do not care. I'm tired of these spreadsheet fights, Russ. These fights that make sense to an accountant.
Yeah.
But for the fans, it's like, what new stars are you creating?
Yeah, I see where you're coming from with that one. It's
and no one's talking about this, right? Russ, they've got the kid Leo Atang boxing on Saturday, right? If anything were to go wrong in his first 5 fights, there's nobody left behind him. Like, the cupboard is empty. And I hear all these channels talking nonsense all the time, talking. No one ever says, hold on, why is the cupboard empty? The cupboard is empty because we keep watching fights like Eubank Benn. Instead of watching young kids get a chance, either rise, fall, whatever, move on. They're the fights that should be happening. We don't need to be at Tottenham. We don't need to be at Wembley. We need to be at the Copper Box. We need to be at the Victoria Warehouse. Do you know what I mean? We might even need to be at, I don't even know, pick a stadium, the Amex Stadium in Brighton. We need to be everywhere building these kids up, building up the Okolis, building up the Riakports.
What about Mikey Talon and Josh Holmes and Clark? What's his second name? Joe G.
They're small guys, though. I like him. Look, I'm not saying they're not good fighters. They're small guys. The fans don't get behind small guys.
Do you know what I mean? It's I
So
don't know.
that's what I'm saying to you. Like, when's the conversation going to happen that the cupboard is empty? And the cupboard is empty because all these supposed internet experts keep talking about fights that don't matter in the big scheme of things. In the big scheme of things, there's nothing coming through. It's that simple.
Yeah,
that's why Jake Paul's making all this money.
He saw a niche in the market and he's just jumped in, and they've all just pulled the pants down and let him grease them, haven't they? Because they're all brassers. You know what I mean? And you've got people like Gareth A. Davies coming out, bigging Jake Paul up constantly, and even Savannah Marshall came out and said, "Oh, Jake Paul saved my career and all this battle in women's boxing." And that I can understand that. Everybody's out for themselves when it comes down to how no. But the big promoters have discarded women's boxing, haven't they now? You know,
they can't make money from it.
Yeah, that's it. They said, "What we're doing here with this."
Remember, I told you this would happen.
You said this had happened 5 years ago, and it has, hasn't it? It's run its course. And Terry Harper's a world champion defending a belt in front of 3 men and a dog in Doncaster. See where I'm coming from?
Yeah. And I said women's boxing was a good idea when it was cheap. And then it got to the point where you're having to start paying women 80 grand, 90 grand, 100 grand to fight. Now the economics don't make sense because they're not shifting those tickets.
Well, look at Dennis got 80,000 for Anna Rankin, an ex-white collar, to defend her belt against Terry Harper, 80 grand. I mean, I know professionals men that have only had that for world title fights. So that's craziness, isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolute craziness. Rick Top says Dennis McCann drug issue is a complete and utter farce. I don't agree with that. It's tested positive. It's in his system. But the narrative is from the YouTubers. They've all gone with what the promoters are saying, haven't they? But we didn't see that.
Well, why is it a farce?
No, they're saying it's Frank Warren said it's a farce in his interview on Box Nation. And then the rest of them, Talk Sport, Gareth A. Davis, all the Stomping Ground, IFL, they all run with it like they don't have an opinion of their own. But we didn't see that same energy with Crusher Benn, did we? Oh, we did from IFL, but not many others. They all went the other way, didn't they? You know, Spencer, Oliver, Juggies, Oliver, and all the rest of them. So, you see where I'm coming from?
I want to ask again, why was it a farce?
Come out and explain it. It's no good saying that, and it's all will be revealed. He's been out of the ring a year now. If you go on Box Week today, Dennis McCann's been out of the ring a year, and it's a farce. There's other fighters that have been out of the ring longer. Lee Wood were out 19 and a half months from the October 23 show at Sheffield. Opie Price is still out from the October 23 show. He's approaching 2 year Opie Price outside the ring. Bombay Dave doesn't seem to be talking about him, does he? What's going on there? Thought he was supposed to be the next.
Didn't he say he had a hand injury?
Well, I don't know. Has he said it's an injury? I haven't seen it. Well, what sort of injury is it? 21 months out and he ain't going to fight? Is it a fractured skull? Is it a hand injury? What is it?
Yeah, the hand injury, they had to have surgery. It went wrong, they had to have surgery again. That was the story. I don't know if it's true, but that's the story Dave was saying.
It sounds like a bit like Yui's hand injury, or spots on his back, or bloody shoes, or lethargic, or whatever. There's always an. It's like, you know, a politician, House of Lords. I go up to my mum's, I sit in my mum's room, and I sat there watching House of Lords. You walk in, and I'm straight away, you know, and I'm like, man, shut up! This on. Or you sit there, and one of them will ask a question to the Prime Minister, and he doesn't give an answer, he gives them a question. And this is what we've got in boxing now, isn't it? Everybody's so used to, well, how come you didn't knock him out? Well, we needed rounds. Or how come you didn't throw your right hand much? Yeah, we put him in with a broken hand. And nobody seems to be pulling these guys up on this, except me. A little bit like Yui's trainer saying that, yeah, we've had a big offer from one of the big promoters in UK, and that offer's a joke. The clowns need to up it. Well, who made the offer, and how much were it, and what were the fight against? Don't just put rubbish out there because matchmakers tell me no offers were made. So you see where I'm coming from? But I don't see anybody asking these questions that I am asking. Pop, pop, bang. That was sorry, Emma.
But it's a miss. It's a mess. But I'm not buying this Dennis McCann thing
I'm
because
not
didn't he fail
buying
for
it.
like
It's in his
Chamberlain?
in system in it, Tell.
Who did it? Was it Vardy or UCAD?
It's one of them, isn't it? But either way, it's in his system and we have strict liability. He's responsible for it. But you get this narrative where they go quiet for a bit and hope it blows over because he hasn't had the slaver that Conor Benn had, has he? Not that we're Conor Benn fans, but Conor Benn, they went after him, but they fueled it themselves trying to make him out to be the bad guy, didn't they? They went on Piers Morgan and they thought that made it even worse. But then they said, well, we're going to have to play the bad guy, aren't we? And they still are, aren't they? And have you seen him strutting about? Getting all that absolutely fried my head. But Dennis McCann, lovely kid by the sounds of it, a tidy little boxer. You've got drugs in your system. You failed the dope test. So explain to us. Do you mind your promoter going out to bat for you and then everybody else having to run with a narrative to say Dennis McCann's probably innocent? Gareth A. Davis, you are probably one of the biggest lickers I've ever seen in boxing. He is Mr. Jumping on a trending story, you tell. Just when I thought I was just warming to him a little bit. but I'm not now. I think he should have a Misfits fight with me, same age, and he's probably a stone heavier than me. So I do 160, he can do 160 pounds. I'll punch
Go
him
on,
up.
mate, get stuck in.
I'll punch him up, and after I get him in an headlock now. Look it. Like a Buxton chicken. Leave it like looking like a doll's head. That's my party piece. We've got a full head of pluck. The Pluckinator. Yeah. So will the media go after Dennis McCann like they did Benn? No, they aren't, because he's a bricktop fighter and everybody's scared to death. Porky's International YouTube, my other sister channel. We're going to be doing something on there now. We've got the backing, so watch out for that in the next few days. Pop over and have a look at the 20 or 30 videos that I've put on there already. We spoke about Eddie slagging Adrian Mole. He also seems to go after Lou DeBella a lot, doesn't he? And all that lot. Jarrell Miller, but it was all right when Eddie wanted to put Jarrell Miller on shows, wasn't it? But now he goes after him as a I think that's a bit hypocritical, do you, Terry?
That's 100% hypocritical, but that's what he does. Like, I'm still surprised people listen to Eddie Hearn after all these years. But like I said, like, we don't have the brightest fans in our sport, do we?
No, we don't. Okay. 50-50 fights. Eddie said it this week. Frank said it this week. All we do is put 50-50 fights on. For the fans, well, 50-50 fights at the bookies, that's evens fights, or 4-6, 6-4. 8 out of 10 on that last show, and 8 out of 9 on Eddie's. There were, apart from the main event, there were like 1-50 and 1-100, and they were like, there's usually one fight that goes other way, and all the rest are just nailed on. So that's not 50-50. Bookies usually get it bang on, don't they?
Yeah.
So where are these 50-50s? I see more 50-50s on small shows than we are seeing on these big shows. I don't know. I just wonder what your thoughts were on that. With this 50-50 rubbish that keep coming out with.
Look,
2 seconds.
this is going to be the. See what he's done here.
No, see, still there. He's polishing it. Yeah, go on, mate.
See, mate. People buy into it 50-50, like we can't go and look on BoxRec. I mean, there's like the stuff they dug out in the 80s. That's real 50-50. No, it's not. No, it's not. Because there's only so many 50-50s a box that can sustain in their career anyway. I get tired of hearing it. I get tired of hearing it. Matchroom are just in trouble right now. That's the problem. They're in trouble. They don't have any stars. They're hoping that Pat Brown can rescue them, but I don't think he's the guy either. Do you know what I mean? I don't think he's the guy. Look, Jack Cattrall's gone from fighting for undisputed